Hi Brett, how you doing?
Hey Mel, how's it going?
Quite all right. Nice to see you. Hi
Yeah,
Ben.
still alive.
Hey Ben, so you're back in the States?
Yep. Hello, hello.
Hello.
All right.
How was Europe?
Yeah, Europe was awesome. Really enjoyed my
Cool.
vacation there. Yeah, it was saw all the different offerings that France had to offer, so that was really awesome. And then ate at my like first actual like 3 Michelin star restaurant. So that was quite the
Whoa,
experience.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to just like always try one. I was like, I might as well try one in France. So yeah, it was
Mm.
pretty nice.
It was France all with 2 weeks or
Yeah,
one
just
place?
France. My mom always wanted to go to France. So like
Mm.
I took my mom, my
Nice.
sister and my niece, and yeah, and we ended up all going to France, just kind of like checking out the different areas. But yeah, so it was really
Cool.
a lot of fun. A lot of food. I gained 12 pounds. So
Wow. Yeah.
so yeah, I need to go on a
Have some
diet.
exercise to
So
do
yeah.
now.
But yeah,
Okay.
it was pretty awesome. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, great. So let's kick off the meeting, shall we?
Yep.
Uh, so I share my screen. Welcome all of you. And see, please sign up to the minutes as well. If you don't have the link, I will share it in the chat. So that's that. It's already December now, December 4th, 2023. Welcome to the CDEvents meeting. So this week, Andrea is in Japan, far away. He's on CDCon, which has been held today. I guess he's asleep now after a long CDCon day. And then there are 2 days of open source summit, I believe, in Japan, which I think he will attend. So I guess we'll hear more about that when he's back next week, hopefully. So I don't see any new attendees today, so we skip that point. The action items, I actually haven't any noted. One thing that we talked about last time, as I think you said, Ben, that you were aiming to prepare a demo of the schema maintainability work there, but I guess that's what you will work on this week, is it?
Yeah,
Since you were on
that's
vacation.
the
Yeah.
idea. Yep.
So that's nothing to read to report on that action today. So I have some proposals here on the agenda, but please interrupt me at a time and add whatever you want to add to the agenda. So I just figured I would start with the governance document that has been updated, or the PR is still there. Andrea wrote it and I've approved it. One other person has also approved it, but if there's anyone on this meeting that has any concerns or any ideas on that PR, please raise your voice. Otherwise, I guess we can merge it now since we have some people approving it. So do we have any objections to it? Have you read it, or do you
I
want
did
still to
take.
read it? Sorry.
Oh, I took sometime last week. Just give a quick brief overview of it.
Yeah,
But yeah, it seems pretty standard. I didn't really
yeah,
have
it
any
is. It
to
is.
yeah any objections. So I'm okay also merging it.
Yeah. Good.
That's how I felt. I didn't feel like I was involved enough to go comment though. So, but I felt it was pretty standard.
Yeah, it comes from CNCF mostly, so that's the template is from there, I guess. Andrea took it from there and then just adjusted it slightly throughout our project. That should be fine. Then I'll probably merge it after the meeting. So semantic conventions of CI/CD interoperability or observability rather in OpenTelemetry. I guess we talked about this before in this meeting. There is a pull request from some time back where this has been discussed, and now this week there is a kickoff of this work group that will talk about CI/CD observability. with OpenTelemetry as a base, I believe, but there are discussions on how that could be interconnected with things like CDEvents, for example. So I might not be able to join myself for this work group, at least not this first occurrence of it. But I would appreciate if someone from this group did. I know that Andrea showed interest at least in joining, but I'm not sure how he is able to do it now since he's in Japan this week. So he might not be. But if anyone is interested and will want to be part of the work group, please look into this Slack.
Yeah, I can hop in since I have a lot of experience with telemetry in general. So
I figure so that would be great, I think. I think it might be quite early for you, but maybe you're used to getting up early.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah. Let me take a look.
1 o'clock Portuguese time. I'm not sure if that is whatever that can be, but quite early in the morning for you, I guess.
Okay, yeah. Let me take a look.
Yeah, so the link is there, and the meeting should be, there's a Zoom meeting in there. Okay, so then I think we can take some chat about the connecting link events PR then, if you want to do that, or if you have any other preference.
Cool. Yeah, I did see your comments. The only comment that I had, so basically you're saying like the end event kind of acts like a path as well, which was kind of my intention, just so you didn't have to send a path event as well as a end event. But if we feel like we need to separate those, where an end link is just an end link with no pathing concept to it, that's fine too. But I just felt it would just make things a little bit easier. But
that could certainly hold, I guess. It's just that then we might need to make it a bit clear in the documentation that that's the intention of it. That is actually a combination of the path and the end event.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But I guess that can be done. That's
okay. Cool. I'll go ahead and make those comments. Yeah, I'll address your comments after this. I've been just really busy since getting home, but yeah. And then in terms of I did also see your comment of the 23 unresolved comments.
right,
So
yeah.
one thing I wanted to comment about this. So internally at Apple, we had turned this on, that GitHub feature of like you could only merge when everything is like resolved. But we actually found it to be very difficult. And the main reason is because anyone can leave a comment and just go leave, right? And they might never choose to actually resolve it. So it's up to the PR owner at that point to make a best judgment on whether or not they resolved it. So I'm a little hesitant on maybe enabling that because of that.
I thought about that scenario actually, and I think that, well, I think it's perfectly fine if the one that owns the PR then writes a comment, for example, expecting or requesting that person to, hey, please resolve it or answer my comment or something, and if he or she doesn't get any response in a week or two, or I don't know, some time frame, then I think it's okay to resolve it, since that user seems to have disappeared from the ground.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know. I don't have any experience myself in having that enabled actually, but I thought it was a good thing, and it maybe the best thing with it is that you actually get a list of unresolved comments, which is quite hard to get otherwise.
Agreed. Yeah, and like I said, like when we enabled it internally, we thought it was a good thing, but then when we started getting, so Apple is fairly large, and so when we had other teams making comments and whatnot, we would have to like ping them directly and say, hey, can you resolve this comment? Or we would have to resolve it, and then it made merging much more of a chore.
I totally get it.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, but yeah, like you said, having that list does make it fairly nice. Maybe it can be an optional thing that we can turn on when we have a really large proposal that occurs, because like or maybe we just leave it on. Like, I really don't know. Like I said, like,
let's try it. I think anyway, me and Andrea, or anyone who is owning this project can actually, yeah, can bypass branch protections
cool,
here
cool.
using. So, I mean, if we don't get any answer from those people, the ones who have merge rights in this repo can anyway merge it.
Got
So
it,
we can still enforce that. So
okay, cool,
well,
cool.
I don't know. Let's try this for some time and see if it is too much of a burden and a hassle for us. Then of course we can take away that requirement again. But I think we can try it for some while.
Cool. Yeah, because
it's just
so that's one thing we
unfortunate.
also turned off internally as well, is that merge without, like, you can't even override the merge. Like, everything needs to succeed.
Okay.
So I think that's why it was a little bit more difficult for us. But yeah, that might actually be the preferred solution with these unresolved, or that feature. But yeah, so either way, I'll take a look at those unresolved comments. Like I said, I noticed, like, 6 or 7 of them are from Andrea. I don't think he's responded just yet, or
No, he hasn't.
Yeah, so
no,
I'll
unfortunately,
ping.
and I would guess, I would expect him to do that.
Yeah, I'll
but,
ping him. I'll ping him directly,
please do,
and then and see where we're at with that. And then yeah, I'll also update based off the doc with the end link type as well. But that's pretty much the gist of that's remaining. And all the other unresolved comments, I took a little bit of a look, and they all are pretty much outdated. So we could probably just resolve those since they are outdated. Like, those, for instance, those comments no longer even applied. Like, those paragraphs got moved or got reworded in such a way that they just don't exist. Or we can just, like you said, I could add a comment saying, hey, this has since been updated. Let's let me know if this has been addressed or not, and then we can kind of go from there.
I think that's a kind way to do it. So please put a comment on those that you cannot resolve directly, and then we'll see.
All right. Yeah, that sounds
leave
like
it for a week or something like that.
Yeah.
And pretty much. Yep.
All right,
Sounds
cool.
good.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, thanks. Any other comments from anyone else on this linking events PR? No? Then we move on. So, maintainability of schemas, examples, and tests. Again, it's you, Ben.
Cool.
Have you had any thoughts on this? More?
So I haven't done, like I said, I haven't done too much work on this. Like I said, I'm prepping the demo for next week. That's the goal. I'll actually have the proposal out either tonight or tomorrow morning. That's the goal for me with the proposal, and then have a demo actually demoing what the idea would be, and then to give some concrete, just like some concrete like examples of like what the proposal's trying to solve and do. So yeah.
It's coming up. Sounds good. So we have Brett here as well. Do you want to say anything about the work group there with event provenance?
I don't have anything yet. We are still like kind of working through some issues in our server. And then I have decided to the workshop's I talked to Lori at a little bit, and the workshop's going to be in a separate repo because it's going to be pretty specific. So hopefully I'll get a repo put together next week or this week, and we can start working through the workshop itself.
The repo under CDEvents or where?
Yeah, I don't know where I want to put it. Lori said separate repo, and she said separate workshop channel in the Slack.
Right.
For when we do the workshop. Those are the two things. Like, I mean, that's the high level.
Because if you want, we can create a repo in CDEvents. I can do that for you if you want.
If you want to do that, I would prefer that, because then I don't have to go find it.
Yeah. No,
like
but I think it fits.
If I put it in my home area, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
And event provenance registry, I haven't gotten permission to make its own organization yet. So if I'm hoping that they'll let me put this either in its own organization, or we can donate it to the CD Foundation and move it into that, a CD Foundation organization. But yeah, if you create us a workshop in here, I will populate it.
Should it be a general workshop repo, you think, or should it be workshop for event provenance or for what purpose?
So it's a workshop. It's basically so I've been looking at it and I've been trying to figure out, it's not really a full CDEvents. It's how to use CDEvents with the event provenance registry. So if we do a workshop, repository, there probably should be a specific CDEvents. This is how you use CDEvents workshop aside from this workshop. Does that make sense?
No, not really. Sorry. So I mean, we are here in the CDEvents organization now
Right.
in GitHub. So would it be a workshop dedicated for event provenance or sorry, event yeah,
You got
provenance
event
stuff,
provenance. Yeah, EPR.
Yeah.
Yes, this workshop would be an EPR workshop as it relates to CDEvents.
Right.
And I guess you could spin it like, here's an example of how you might use CDEvents in the real world by way of EPR as a
So is
project.
it then a more of a proof of concept, or is it? Because I think we have don't we have a POC repo before? No, we might not.
I guess the actual usage of CDEvents would be a proof of concept for what? For EPR. Although EPR itself, well, we're running the internal version in production and have been for the last 4 years, so that piece isn't as much proof of concept.
Okay. Then I guess we can rename things as well, but let's call it event provenance work group then, workshop.
Yeah, it's right above you. There you go.
Something like that. Cool. I will create that.
Put the registry in there.
Oh, sorry, of course.
I can do it.
And let's make it capitalized as well.
We really wanted to name it something silly, but we want people to take this serious.
Yeah.
That and all the silly things we looked up already had duplicates.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the complaints we get internally is that all these services are named after all these, Greek gods and fictional characters and comic book characters. We can't tell what any of this stuff does. I was like, yeah.
The EPR is the thing.
Yeah, back before like open telemetry, I wrote a library, like an internal library for the very first company that I worked for, which was called like the Eye of Sauron. And my boss made me rename it. I was like really, really sad. So yeah, I completely feel you on that.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, the main service in the event internally is named Janus, which is the gatekeeper. And it makes so much sense based on what it does, but it was silly when we tried to figure out if we're going to do it externally or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, on that open telemetry stuff, I might be interested in that as well. We started down the open telemetry road with our internal system, and we're definitely going to have open telemetry in EPR. So
Do you see a combination of CDEvents and open telemetry in this space, or what is your view on it?
just hooking up all the endpoints with open telemetry, so we know who's hitting it and what the system's doing, and we throw Jaeger tracing in there, and then we might be able to draw a map of what it looks like. One of the problems we have internally is that development teams can deploy their own services, and we don't know where the heck they're deploying them. And so we don't have a good discovery method, and so we want to change that in our moving forward.
Right. Yeah. I just realized I should set someone to be maintainers of this repository. Is it you then, Brett and Andrew, or who should be maintainers?
It's Andrew and I.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Are you both in the CDEvents organization?
I don't know.
Otherwise, I guess we cannot. But you,
If it's the GitHub organization, I highly doubt that I am.
yeah, I would guess so as well. So you can PM or DM your GitHub initials to me, and I can add you there.
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool.
I looked at the CDEvents people, and there's only 3 people in there
Oh, maybe
that I can see.
I
Of course,
don't know, but there's more people.
Okay.
18 of them right now. So there are some people at least. And I guess you need to be a member to become a owner of a repository or maintainer or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll set that up for you when I get the. You have it there. Great. Union Master. Thanks. Okay. So going on then. Where are we? Yeah, there. So ticket approvals. Do we have
Yeah,
anyone
we haven't
talking about
met.
that?
Yeah, we haven't. Me and Sean haven't met since 2 weeks ago. Since I went on vacation, so there hasn't been too many updates. I'll ping Sean though, because the proposal is ready. It's just a matter of Sean creating the PR and getting that submitted. So that's something that we agreed that he should do since he created the issue. So he'll be creating that PR. I'll ping him, see what the status of it is, but expect that PR for the tickets to be probably within this week is my guess.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I will. So nothing really done there yet either. That's perfectly fine. Then there are some points that Andrea talked about last time. I just wanted to raise them again so we are aware of them. So there is an intention on scanning artifact events, having artifact scanned events, and also some other predicates like pulled and deleted. I have myself some doubts about actually the pulled keyword and predicate, whether that should be an event or not. I'm not really sure what CI/CD scenario that or use case that belongs to, but apparently there's something that was discussed, I think during the summer with the Harbor, where Andrea had some discussions. So I guess it comes from there.
Out of curiosity, what is the use case for like scanned? So we have we have the published, right? So
Yeah.
what is scan providing that published will not allow? Is that just to make sure that it's ready, even though that you just published it? Is that the idea?
I
So
guess you scan it for FOSS, right? And you see what does it contain of and such things, and whether it's published or not. It's I think it's orthogonal to whether it's scanned or not.
Oh,
but
wait,
it's
then
I
what
would
is
say
it?
it's a kind of a test on the artifact itself and gaining a maturity level of it. So I'm not sure we should have such dedicated.
Yeah, we do.
predicates.
Because I immediately ran into it in the workshop. I was like, I need a scanned, because I scanned this image with Prisma Cloud, right? I used Twistlock CLI. I scanned this image, but we haven't published it yet because we haven't reviewed the output of the scan, but the scan completed as true. So, I mean, definitely could use a scanned event.
Yeah, we use this heavily internally for, I mean, not just Docker containers, but like, shoot,
Well,
like SAST.
yeah, I mean, we've got SAST, we've got SCA, we've got DAST, and then we've got OCI scans. So we got 4 types of scans that we automate.
Yeah, and basically, like, in order for our artifacts to make it up the pipeline, all 4 of those have to be done.
Yeah, I totally agree that you can have such like milestones that you want to pass before being able to publish it. But I'm just a bit curious if we should have one scanned event specifically, or in your case, you say you have 4 different scans. Then should there be 4 scanned events sent, or is it 1, or is it just a generic like artifact maturity level reached or something like that? And then we can, the user that uses this event can add whatever type of scan or other kind of maturity in it.
So we kind of handled types a little different than you guys did, or you guys are handling it. We're it's a little bit more freeform internally. So like if we were doing this, and Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, this would probably be artifact.scanned.type. So like .sca, .sast, .dast. And then we'd be waiting on the Kafka bus for that type to come across with a watcher. And when that watcher saw that, it would go do something like pull the scan results and evaluate the CVSS score, and then post another event that said, hey, you're good, you've passed this, or hey, you're bad, you need to stop and go fix this. So that's kind of,
I haven't played with CDEvents a ton yet, but I suspect if we were using them, it would come across as something like, artifact.scan, and then somewhere else in the event we would have more details on like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, there should be data in it. Yeah, of course.
Right, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be in the type. I mean,
I guess what I'm wondering is it's scanned a little bit of implementation detail that's leaking from Harbor into CDEvents. It doesn't seem very general. I'm not like, is Artifactory is like the equivalent of that is what for Artifactory?
X-ray.
What is it?
X-ray scan would be run. In our pipeline, we would run a Twistlock CLI, Twistlock scan, which is Prisma Cloud. So, and then, we don't use, we're going to get away from Harbor and move our Docker images to Artifactory, but they would definitely get an X-ray scan in Artifactory. But we require, for compliance reasons, proof that we've done our due diligence on our scans. So we definitely want an event that said we went and ran our OCI scan before this, unit shipped to the customer.
Right. And I guess what I'm wondering, so what, maybe this is more about the proposal. So like, would a test event work for this very same thing? I guess, yeah, I'm just trying to understand the use case because it seems very foreign to me.
I would call a test, like not a scan. I mean, a scan, you're either scanning source code or you're scanning binaries. A test to me would be, I went and exercised this API and have validated that its contract is true and we're good. That's how we look at it internally. And I'm not discounting what you're getting at. I think I understand what you're getting at.
So what are you scanning for, I guess?
Vulnerabilities.
Oh, okay. So it's like security checks.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that still would be under test, right? Like that's a security that's a pen test, right? Or security test, vulnerability tests, right? Those are all various different types of tests, right?
Not necessarily. Like it can be a test, it can be looking at dependencies, look at dependency chains to vulnerabilities upstream as well. It's not inherently a test. It tends to be more analysis as opposed to run code or run something to test an input and output. We don't use it for security scanning, but we do have compliance scanning. We do to validate configuration details and secret leaks without it actually being a test. Test step per se.
Okay, so this is strictly around security. I wonder if this means we need a security subject rather than attaching it to artifacts. I wonder if that might be. I
wouldn't say it's strictly around security. Like compliance and security have a lot of overlap, but there's a lot of things you can scan for which aren't necessarily security related, but more around internal practices and policies.
Yeah, the common sentence is compliance, not security.
Right. Okay, I see. So like, for instance, if you're like a gambling company, right, you have regulations that you have to adhere to, right? Like that would be technically a scan, right? Okay.
I would call it a test.
So
I can give you an example right now. So as part of our contracts with a lot of our customers, mostly government, we have to provide a list of all of the third-party software that we provide as part of our delivery and the open source licenses that go with it. I use the SCA output scan to discover all those open source libraries and their licenses entail and create my SBOMs for the third-party licenses, which isn't even just the version of the library and that type of stuff. We also use the SCA scans for all of our SBOM creation. So they're intertwined and it's compliance and security kind of thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think I understand the concept better now. Okay. All right. So I think the proposal, because I looked at Andrea's proposal a little, there isn't much around the definitions. It looks like it just introduces the types. So I think that the proposal needs to be expanded a little bit, explaining the oh, I looked at the hack MD. Maybe that's why. Yeah. No. So this is okay.
This doesn't say scanned either.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll leave some comments because I definitely have some questions. Well, most of them were answered, but I'd like them in the actual proposal. Outlining these what we talked about. Because like I said, like the only time I've ever dealt with scanning, I put that in quotes, is like when I worked for a gambling company, which was my first job, like gambling. We had like regulations that we had to we had to run tests against it. That's why I thought maybe it was like a test, but maybe it can act as a test, but doesn't necessarily need to be one. So okay. Yeah, I'll leave some comments though, because it seems like it still needs a lot of more of just definitions is really what I'm looking for, and use cases.
Right. And then the thing I want to be careful of is that we don't create too many of these things and we just create the right amount, because internally Andrew and I have created too many of these things, and it's hard to tell sometimes what the heck each one is.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
And
so yeah,
are you only are out of curiosity, are you only ever scanning artifacts? Can you scan something else, like a repo, for example?
We scan source code repositories.
Okay.
There's two scans we run on source code repositories. You run an a SAST scan to validate the code paths to make sure that developer hasn't done something silly in the code that's obvious exploit, obvious vulnerability or issue. My favorite one is unsanitized input in the CLI, and I'm like, well, how am I supposed to sanitize this, Mr. SAST scanner? And then you have SCA scans, which would look for CVE vulnerabilities in your third-party libraries. And then once you've built the binary, you'll have a Docker image that's got an OS in it, usually. In our particular case, it's the UBI 8 image from Red Hat. Mm-hmm. And then we'll go scan that, and then we have to see if we pulled in any dependencies that created that brought in vulnerabilities to that Docker container that weren't part of the source code. And then we also need to list out all the vulnerabilities that are part of the original image. And so that would be what you call a binary scan. If you treat the OCI image as a binary, because you could do it with an RPM, you could do it with a Debian package, you could do it with an OCI image. Then we have DAST scanning, where you're scanning a product while it's running. You're testing its APIs and scanning them. And then from there, we are getting in. Andrew and I've just started working on the API contract testing to make sure that the documentation matches the API. So those are just some of the ones that I guess the API one doesn't fall into scanning, but DAST does.
Okay. Hey, Brett, can you do me a huge favor?
List those out.
Yeah. Can you list those use cases in either the PR or that issue? Because I think understanding those use cases is going to be crucial in designing this properly.
Right.
Yeah, and I also think it's interesting that you mentioned, for example, source code scanning. I'm a bit hesitant to say that notifying with a CD event that source code has been scanned would be a binary scanned event. That
Yeah.
sounds just wrong.
Right.
So with that, maybe it's better with what you proposed there, Ben, before, to have some separate, I'm not sure, scan performed or something like that event, which
Right.
could then be either on a binary or a source code or on a deployment or other things as well.
So the one thing that we want to do internally is we want to tie together all of the things that happened to put that binary in the customer's hands. And that would include all 4 scan types that I just mentioned before it gets to the customer.
Okay.
Let me go. I'm gonna go work on the comment for that issue. Should I just comment in the issue?
Yeah, I think the
please
issue
do,
would
please do.
probably, would be the best place currently.
Because what we write here will be lost. I mean, I write things now just to remember what we said on the meeting, but then it's better to track it in the issue itself or in the pull request, whatever it fits better.
Yeah, single source of the truth.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
question I have to you, Amel, is the main thing I want to be able to do is track it for events that happen to the thing I gave to the customer. And so if we use a different type, how do we tie those together? I mean, I know how we do it in EPR. We've got a set of variables that are the same for the DU for its life cycle, and then all the things that happen to it are tracked. We can track them using a CD event. But in pure CD events, is this the linking stuff you were working on, Ben?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
the
linking
connecting
would
event,
be, would be one way of doing that. And actually, probably is going to be the way of, if, for instance, you could get an artifact, and then there's this concept called relation links, where you can relate scans to like an artifact, for example, and you call the relation type like scan, for example.
Exactly.
And you could query that links API or link service to grab all those scanned scanned events for that particular artifact is also going to be something once we implement that service. So yeah, so I think that's going to be the idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
there will be a chain IDs as well that are shared between all events in the chain. So that's similar to what you had there, Brett, as well.
Because the other use case we would have would be, we've got this list of artifacts we gave to the customer. We want to make sure they've all been scanned. So we want to go and pull all the scan events for a certain time frame, pretend it's a time frame. I have better metrics to tell you, who's in the group, but for a group of artifacts, I'd like to know that all of them have been scanned. So that's another use case.
Yeah. And with the links, you should be able, you'll be able to do that.
Okay.
Okay, I guess we move on then. That was a good discussion. So SBOM URI, similar in some sense. This is also related to artifacts and scanning. So there is an intention to add an SBOM URI to the artifact event. I have proposed there that we should probably add a SBOM object rather than just one URI, because I would guess we at least would need a format of this as well, and not just a anonymous URI. It would be good to say, is this Cyclone DX or SPDX or some other format, for example?
And then real quick though, what is the preferred format? So for example, in links, I use underscores instead of dashes. Do we want to do dashes or do we want to do underscores? I just want to make sure that we're doing the same thing.
Wow. Yeah, good.
I'm glad you brought that up, Ben, because I wanted to say, why is this not snake case? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually realized that myself when I see this as well now. I think it should be snake case, isn't it?
Yeah, I think snake
Uh,
case probably makes the most sense.
Because
mm,
we're going to convert this to JSON.
yeah. I think that's what we most often do. Let me just check one example, whatever we take, some example, whatever. That has some
Yeah, artifact ID.
ID there with snake case. For sure. That was the only maybe in this. Yeah, must be a bad example then. Let's just take test as well and see what happens there.
I
Yeah,
wonder if we can
cool.
have like a simple linter too, just to make sure.
Yeah, obviously it should be snake case. Yes.
Cool,
yes,
cool,
yes.
cool. Good to know. All right.
Cool. Oh, first, I just make a note of that. That's right.
That's SBOM URI. You would expect that if you do that URI should be capital.
Yeah, that's a discussion we could have, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's
You
also
mean
like
all of the 3 letters? Yeah, I'm not
yeah.
sure.
Well, in Java, like URI is only the first letter is capitalized, but in like Go, for example, all of it's capitalized. So it's like
that's a discussion I'm not sure we need to here now. But I mean, in some sense, URI is a term itself, a name of itself, but it's also an abbreviation, yes. And there, if it's considered an abbreviation, it should be totally capitalized, I guess. But if you consider URI some kind of term, then you can argue that it should just be first letter capitalized.
Yeah, we're gonna end up in a Vim Emacs war here.
I know, right?
Yeah, let's not go there now. But yeah, interesting. We already used URI before, I guess, in some places, and maybe other abbreviations as well. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah,
but if you're keen on it, please go through the parameters we have and propose to change to something.
I'm less opinionated on. I'm just more for consistency. So whatever
Exactly.
we do, yeah.
Yeah, I second that completely. I don't have a strong opinion there, but we should have the same
Which is
model.
probably worth calling out for any kind of compliance checking in the future. So if we take the .NET SDK, for example, that will, when you do the JSON convert from an object to JSON, will parameterize the whole thing. And so I've gone through manually to check if that is actually what we're doing elsewhere. So there might be something about with the different SDKs, are we actually getting the same output from a case perspective? Because some of the systems are actually case sensitive when you get down the chain, and that has bitten me in the ass once or twice. So it might be worth just having a note about how do we actually validate the different SDKs are providing that kind of output, taking into account case.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know, Owen or Brett, would you mind writing an issue about this, and then we can discuss it in there in a better way than just having it in this mom?
Yeah, I mean, I can write an issue about my general thoughts around how we can kind of validate it across the SDKs. Might be an idea as opposed to it specifically being URI. It'll probably be, for me, it'll probably be in a week's time. I'm kind of wrapped up with COP28 right now. But, I needed a break from the chaos, which is partially why I'm here.
Okay. Not regarding COP. What are the concerns regarding what should I write now? SDK, sorry. I was confused, sorry. And I don't know, Brett, are you interested in writing a PR on the other, or sorry, an issue on the other discussion there about capitalizing?
I am in the middle of working on the 143 comment for the artifact events and filling out the information that we talked about here and filling it out as far as I can. as far as the capitalization underscore snake case, all I care about is consistency.
Yeah.
If you wanted me to put my real opinion in there, I'm a Python developer, it should be underscores, but you've already set the precedence that it's not, so.
For now, at least it's not. And we haven't reached 1.0 yet of the protocol. So it's still possible to change, even though it becomes harder and harder, of course.
Yeah, at some point it becomes impossible. So then we need a
Yeah,
version
it does.
2.
Sure. So
I can comment on the capitalizing the URI. I mean, for me, it's because my two languages are Go and my two go-to languages are Go and Python. And so, you know, Go freaks out if you don't, you know, if you lowercase the RI and URI.
oh, okay.
Yeah, Go is very opinionated on what the format should be.
Yeah, and we use the Golang CI lint and we turn on a lot of the flags, so it's pretty abusive. And then, you know, Rust is just abusive language anyway. So when I'm writing Rust, I just, you know, I'm in punishment mode anyway. Also, I just met some of you guys, so you don't need to know how much I hate Java.
Oh, dude, don't even get me started on Java. Like, so I have 8 years experience in Go, and this is the first company where I've worked in Java, and oh my God, the abstractions are just insane to me.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe this should have been up to this one. Okay, I guess we did that discussion there. Great to have you all discussing these things. So Yolanda, I see you added the Java SDK generation there.
Yeah, so I just wanted to update that I'm working on this Java SDK to generate 0.3.0 version. And so I'll be creating a PR for this soon so that like it's open for review, and then we can so we can release this version of Java SDK. I think there's a requirement like for Jenkins to use, and also I will need to update for Spinnaker because that is still using the draft version of SDK. So once this is available, so the Spinnaker can be updated with 0.3.0, and yeah, so and others can use it.
Great,
Yeah.
thanks. Yeah, so then the last thing here is also leftover from last meeting. I think we brought this up last meeting anyway, but just want to rehash on it again. So custom events, there is a possibility to send custom events, and the discussion here is about how can we include that in SDKs, for example. How can the SDK send like custom events for certain users? So if you have ideas on that, I think that's a bit what you talked about as well, Brett, there. If you want to have the same chain ID or some ID in multiple events to be able to track them, regardless of if you use CDEvents or something else, maybe then it'd be good to have a common way to do handling such custom events as well. But that's what is discussed in this. I just wanted to mention it there in that regard. So that's the end of the current agenda. Do we have any other things you want to bring up today?
Nothing over here.
Okay. So if nothing else, I thank you for the meeting today then, and talk to you next time.
All right, have a good one, everybody.
Have a good time. Bye-bye.
Later, guys.
Thank you. Bye.